Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another interesting edition of Amani Health. It's a live series. Tonight we'll be joined by Fab Mom and me, Lola Olowe. She's a certified therapist, of course, one of the therapists right here in Amani Health. Today we'll be talking about the challenges with behavioral challenges in children, and we hope to learn from them this evening. Olowe has joined. Also, okay. Let me view so I can accept I into the conversation. All right. Okay. All right, Olowe, I can see you. All right, I'm going live with Olowe at the moment. I hope to learn a lot from our therapist. Of course, we're talking about some of the signs that we need to watch out in our children. Hi, Jane.
Hello.
Hi. Good evening.
Good
Hi,
evening. I'm fine. It's great.
Great. Hi, Jane. Hi. Yeah, can you hear me
Fine. What do you say?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. I can hear you clearly. Can you? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, you are very clear. You are clear. I'd like to
All
welcome
right.
some of our participants. I can see Mike Flute. Thanks for joining. Bob Zeno, thanks for joining. So we're expecting a far more. Let me see if I have a question now. Okay, all right. All right. So we're expecting far mom to join, and once she start conversation as well. So hopefully tonight talk about more about the challenges children face growing up in terms of their behavior. While waiting for Farm Mom, let me talk a bit more about Amani Health for some of us that are joining us for the first time. Amani Health is a teletherapy platform basically for children between the 6 to 17, right? Going through physical challenges, going through emotional, going through academic, going through psychological, and different types of challenges. One way back to Amani Health based on the recent happening in the society. All right, Farm Mom is here, and of course, of accepting Farm Mom at the moment. Hopefully, she will join in a couple of minutes. So, Farm Mom, you are declining the request. So I would suggest you send in a request the second time so that I can accept and can go live and start the conversation. Hi, Ada is there. I can see you. Can see you are moving at all. So going back to what we do in Amani Health, like I said, Amani Health is a teletherapy platform. So when we talk about the word teletherapy, it means that the platform that offers parents offer kids the opportunity to talk to certified therapists, such as me or Lord that are there with us tonight, whereby they can know how their minds once they notice any form of changes in their kids, either mental, either emotional, either even the academics as well, or they have been abused in society, right? So Amani Health gives them the opportunity to talk to certified therapists, because what we found out is that most parents, of course, they use their parenting tips to help the children growing up. But most important for them is for them to talk to people or professionals that are well trained, that understand the traits. Once they notice any traits in any child, they can quickly address it, right, and they can provide solution, which is what Amani Health is doing in the society. And on Thursday, we had the privilege of hosting Bam Bam. Hey, hi, Farm Mom, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. Good evening.
Right. All right. So I'll just give you just like a minute to talk more about Amani Health. Then we'll go live to the session and we can start, answering different questions. So I was talking about Amani Health for some that just joined us. That basically we offer the therapy platform, which means just what we are doing at the moment, right? You can talk to a therapist, which means the children or the child can answer some screening questions on the platform, and when they are done, there will be matched with a therapist, that's qualified to handle that particular case about the kid. And once that is done, the child is assured of getting best professional help on the journey to recovery. So that's what Amani Health is all about. And for all our followers that just join us, they can simply follow at Amani Health Incorporated, Amani Health INC, right? And they can get to learn more about Amani Health. Also, they can visit amanihealth.app and read through what we offer. So let me leave it for Mom, and she can start the conversation.
Hello, good evening.
Good
Good evening.
evening. So
Good evening, Amani Health, and good evening, Eunice.
Good evening, Mom.
Okay, so Amani Health, before you run, I think you need to add the topic so that people who are joining us can know what we are talking about. I think you need to put the topic and pin it. You need to write the topic in the down below and just pin it so that people who are just joining us can know what we are talking about. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our Instagram live today. And as usual, I am going live. I am live with my good friends at Amani Health. And we have a guest with us today, and she is Eunice, and she's a counseling psychologist. And she's one of the psychologists and resource persons at Amani Health. You have been following my page for a while. You would have realized that I post a lot about Amani Health for two reasons. One, I love what they are doing. And two, because I'm very passionate about children's mental health. Good evening, Deluxe. Good evening, everyone. Because children's mental health is something we rarely pay so much attention. Most times, we as parents, we are more concerned about our kids' physical outlook and not really about the mental, the mental wellness. And that's because mental wellness is not tangible. It's not something we can see, and it's not something that comes down, automatically. It takes a lot of time. So that's why today my guest and I will be talking about how to identify behavioral challenges in our children. What are the signs? What are the symptoms? What are some of those things your kids begin to exhibit that you as a parent should be able to know, oh, this is what it is, or this, I need to be careful, or I need to pay more attention to my child. So that is what my guest will be talking about today. And without wasting so much time, I think we should just start. Eunice, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
You're on the hot seat, so get ready. Number one question. What are behavioral problems? When you talk about behavioral problems in children, what are they? What are examples?
So I would say behavioral problems are any problem that is acceptable. That typically everyone see this kind of issue and see a situation like that and say this is so any behavior that is unacceptable is actually a behavioral problem. But you will agree with me that there are times whereby maybe a moment in our life whereby we find ourselves maybe behaving or doing something, and that has to also do with children too. Because children are human beings, they are also human like adults. So there are times in their life whereby they misbehave, like for example, they lie, they steal. You understand?
Please, can you pin the topic? I just typed it. Amani Health. Sorry.
Hold on. You can continue, please.
Please continue.
So can we say, oh, because a child lies to, oh, this child has a behavioral problem? No, it comes a behavioral problem when the pattern, you can see a pattern when it's consistent. Like for example, a child lies consistently. It's not like we can have a situation whereby, oh, a child lies because they are afraid of what the consequence will be. But when it's now like an habit, a pattern of behavior, a child gets angry and starts destroying things, and it's not a one-time thing. When it becomes a pattern of behavior, then it is a behavioral problem. An example of this, I've mentioned lying. We see situation of sitting, ordering. A child can see maybe like a spoiled radio on the floor, and because you see a useless object in the hand of the child, you can't use the that you have a problem. But when it's now comes, you go to the child things, you just find so many things that are not even useful to this child. You find the child having a lot of them. Do you understand? Then you know this is becoming a behavioral pattern. You need to really do something about it.
Okay,
That is
what
behavioral.
if, okay, let me just take you up on that. You said, for instance, you discover that your child is fascinated by, what did you say? I think a toy, or what did you say, a radio?
Okay, like the child saw a toy on the floor, not like the child is fascinated by it. You know, children can just speak things that is not even useful to them. Maybe just because they see it at first sight, you understand. And the child just speaking, decide to take it home. And then you see that this is now becoming constant. Or like, let's even go to the process. You see, your child has a pencil, he has unneeded right matter. Or you get such a child bag and you find a lot of pencils, a lot of bios there. You're not the one that even bought those pencils or bios for that particular child. You understand? And you see that we come on, oh, where did you get this? Oh, they are for my classmates. Okay, return these things. I don't want to take things that are not yours. And then you notice over and over again that you keep finding different things. Maybe people's books, different things in the tag bag. So this is becoming a pattern of behavior. Then we can tag that this needs to be attended to urgently.
Okay, but I think I get you, but you would also agree with me that some children, especially those ones that have the creative streak, they are drawn to certain instance, maybe a child who just loves painting. I'm just giving an example. You know that a child who loves painting or who loves drawing will definitely play a lot with papers, will definitely play a lot with crayons, will gather pencils. So how do you really differentiate? So given the example you gave, so a behavioral pattern of the just gathering those pencils, is that a red flag?
Okay, now let's shed more light. If like you said, it's actually different, difficult to say. Uh, there's a thin line between. So you find things that are not your doesn't belong to child in their bag or maybe in their room, and then you ask, where did you get this thing from? Maybe we have situations like the child is scared, the child decides to lie, and then you kind of engage the child. Where did you get this thing from? And the child says, oh, I also saw it and I liked it and I took it. And then you have a one-on-one conversation with the child. It's not right for you to pick things that are not yours. You understand? It is wrong for you to pick things on the floor. You pick it. After correcting the child, you see that it happens again second time. And it's these things you keep repeating, you keep correcting. This child keep repeating it. You understand? It's a big issue. It's not something you should just you shouldn't just as a parent, you shouldn't just assume. I think the child is just passionate about it. Let me give you an example. There was a time I came across this time. This girl six started with like she takes money from from anywhere she just gets money, even if it's on the floor, from the guidance because she was late at the guidance. It was a serious issue that the woman was like she's going to return the child back to the village. So this girl keeps doing this, and the woman was like, oh, she was trying her best to correct the child. This is not right. You shouldn't be this. Whenever you need something, you can always ask me and all that. But the woman just to that okay, the woman started providing, which is this money. But this pattern of behavior keep repeating itself. The woman did not even notice again. She wasn't even paying attention to until when she started noticing the big money. For a premised child, a premised student, you understand, stealing as much as 5,000 naira, and the other children at home are even way younger. So she, like, that was when the woman asked, I need help. This is the out of hand. You can't help me with this guy. I think I'm going to return her back to you. So
Okay.
Most times, yes, you after you correct and you see that this child with no good thing. You understand? Like for example, if your child is passionate about drawing and then you provide all the needed instruments and still find the child, you still find all those things again in the child, that is really a pattern of behavior that needs to really be shared.
Okay, so I think from what I've gotten from what you said is when there's a pattern, not just a pattern, a very weird, right? A very weird, consistent pattern.
A consistent pattern, yes.
A very weird, consistent pattern. Okay, some people have just joined us, and I'm sure they are wondering what we are talking about. We are talking about how to identify behavioral challenges in your children. We are having a bit of an issue, putting the topic there, so I will keep repeating it from time to time. Okay, so what are the signs? You just gave us a
Okay.
typical example. So what are some of those signs? Please make your example as practical and relatable as possible. What are some of those signs that show up that can let a parent, know that this may be a behavioral issue?
Okay. The key word is what I said the other time is the consistency in that pattern of behavior. So like for example, let's talk about temper tantrums. Temper tantrums can actually be seen as a norm sometimes in truth. You understand? But when it becomes so frequent, no, there is something wrong. This is not my thing. So frequent temper tantrums, understand, the sign of behavioral problem. That's your position because people who are actually suffering from oppositional deviant disorder, the kind in their wisdom, refusal to obey. You understand? We have some children that there is nothing you say to them. They just they will it is opposite of what you tell them. That is exactly what they do. It just reminds me of when I watched this documentary of this boxer. I'm trying to remember his name. I can't remember. He's a world renowned boxer. He's retired now, a black man. I think one of the first black man that was really for boxing. When I was reading about, I was watching a documentary. You see that he was out of prison so many times, out of police custody, out of prison so many times. Whatever the tells him to, he does the opposite. And when you trace this particular boxer, right, suffered from bullying a lot, understand, which makes that person make him develop that defense mechanism to actually feel secure and all that. So if you start to obey rules, it's also a very red flag of behavioral problems. When you see a child that gets easily angry, you understand, a thing is anger, a child can be human, you understand, but when a child gets easily irritated, gets easily angered, is a pattern of behavior. Or whenever an issue happens, they seek someone to blame, a serious issue. Frequent lying. I said something the other time that a child can lie to the parent, maybe because the fear of getting spanked or fear of seeing them as not a good child. But when you see a child lie frequently, like even for things that you that you feel, oh, this
That does not
there's nothing you
require
can.
lying.
Exactly. And the child lies frequently, that is a big problem. It could be because people who suffer from conduct disorder is one of the signs in them. Frequent lying, criminal behaviors like stealing deliberately, like you see some children breaking, destroying property. You understand? Then this issue happen in the house. They are looking for something to destroy the television. They are breaking the chair. It is not. It is a serious sign of a big behavioral problem. So and also difficulty concentrating. A child find it very difficult to concentrate in school. and definitely you know that will affect child's academic performance. You or maybe generally as you tell this child, oh, I I I need I need you to get me water. Let's use an example of bring me a glass of water. And then before the child gets gets the water dispenser, the child will come up to you and it's not a one time thing, it's not a two-time thing. It now becomes frequent that you have to scream, you have to say, oh, get me water, get me, you have to repeat yourself over and over again. You understand? That is a serious kind of behavioral problem. It could be attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So we have the situation of maybe the way we are having a conversation now, before you even land, the child is trying to interrupt you, is talking over, and then you notice, oh, this might happen to us, it happens to people most of the time, but it's something that when maybe it's something they are conscious of, but when you say that this situation is not something the child cannot even control it happens over and over again, you understand? It's a sign of behavioral constant restlessness also.
Okay,
It's a
but
big sign of
Eunice, I'm sorry, I have to cut you in. Some of the examples you are giving is so scary because I mean, as a parent myself, I'm like, okay, okay. Because if I want to go by some of the examples you are giving, the signs of behavioral issues in kids, that means almost every child. Correct me if I'm wrong. Almost every child will have a bit of one of these, because one of the things you talked about is consistent lying, even when there's no reason to lie. You said some levels of temper tantrums, right? Consistent
consistent.
temper tantrums. You also talked about restlessness, a child being
Constant.
unnecessarily constant restlessness. You also talked about a child having difficulty concentrating on tasks, and even putting his or herself together. For example, you send the child on an errand, maybe go get me a glass of water, and the child just wanders off. So I think there's a thin line, because as parents, your child, especially growing children, would exhibit one or two of these signs. So but I'm very happy you said when it is consistent, when it becomes a pattern, then you need to look into it. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So now that we know some of the red flags, what would you say is normal behavior in a child? What is normal behavior? This is tricky,
so
but what is normal behavior?
okay, so normal behavior, our behavior is any behavior that is wanted and approved. But like you said it's tricky.
Yeah.
Because I want something, I want my child to behave in a certain way. You understand? And I approve that this is how you should behave as my child. That and the child decides to do the opposite of what I'm expecting. Understand? Does that make such a behavior a problematic behavior? That is that. So now I'm going to a normal behavior can actually be seen in the context of the situation that actually happening. You understand? I like for example, everyone I tell like example of telling the child to get water from the monster, and the child forget the child before you get to the dispenser, the child already forgot, and it happens over and over again. In that situation, this is not normal at all. And if he said this is normal, but maybe let's not paint a situation whereby a child did something that was wrong, maybe about an hour or 2 hours ago, and correct the child, and the child is kind of very scared. And for example, maybe the mom tells the child, "Oh, when your dad comes, you're going to understand the meaning of what you have done today." That fear already has killed that child. That's why that child is only a cup of water. There is a possibility that child is going to actually forget, but because the child is actually the child's mind is actually overcrowded with so many what is going to happen to me when daddy comes back and all that. Now let me give you another example. I'm going to value. Okay, like now I go there, I'm not against hearing. I don't see it's just my personal decision of hearing. I love myself. So let's say I have a girlfriend and I know because I love myself not wearing hearing. I don't want my girl child to wear hearing. And then my child comes back from school and I find that has an earring. Maybe if it's a clipping earring, a magnetic earring, in, then I come to a conclusion. This child is wayward. This child is already following back down. All those kind of things. Because a child behavior does that behavior depict that behavior is problematic? No. But because I see it as a problem because I feel the child has gone against family values. Are you following what I'm saying? So that is so if saying a behavior is normal or a behavior is problematic, you depend on the social background, it depends on the cultural expectation, even religion. Within the religion, there are some religions that are against certain things, you understand? And then, like for example, there are some religions that are against wearing trousers, and then you find trousers in your child's bag, and the parent comes to a conclusion, this child, you are misbehaving, you are following bad and all those kind of things. You understand? But, and you start seeing that this child has a problem. This child is being influenced. But to other people, they see that behavior as normal. It's okay for her to. There's nothing wrong with it. But because it is against your religious value, against your family value, you find it as a problem. So, so let us just come to the conclusion that normal behavior is a behavior that is wanted or approved, depending on the situation, the time, the societal expectation of family value.
Okay. Thank you so much for that explanation. So from what you said, it's obvious that what is acceptable behavior differs, right? It
Yes.
differs on what is acceptable, because it differs and largely depends on what you call acceptable. But I'm
Oh,
sure there are some.
all that.
What? Okay. So, what would you call? At what point should a parent now take action?
Okay.
Because
Firstly,
you
I
know,
would
with
say
things like, sorry, I'm sorry to cut you, because it's mental wellness or mental illness, especially as it involves young children, the first thing a lot of parents would say is, God forbid, it's not my portion. You know, that's the first thing. And because we still have this there's this mindset we Nigerians have about mental health. It's really tough for adults to even accept most times that they need to see a therapist, and it's even harder for parents to accept that their child needs to see a therapist, or that they need to speak. They also may need to speak to a therapist. Sometimes it's denial. The first thing is denial. So for a parent who has noticed a particular unacceptable behavioral pattern in her child, you know, at what point should such a parent take action? Is it after 5 days, after 1 week, or if it's so bad? So at what point do you know as a parent that, no, I need to seek help?
okay. So I would say firstly, at when you go as a parent notice that your discipline strategies are not working again, you understand? You try to sit down with the child, you try to have conversation with the child, it's not working, you correction is not working, withdrawal of benefit is not working. When and whatever discipline strategy you are using, it's not working any longer. You know you need help. You need professional help. There's nothing wrong with this. When people hear about seeing a psychotherapist, I know we feel more sitting in this country in regards to that because I've seen situations as bad as sexual abuse and that already affecting the child mentally and the mom talk to therapist.
We're back. Hi. I think
Hello,
it
what
was the
happened now?
phone went off, so we had to. I'm really sorry about that. I'm really
Okay,
sorry.
okay, okay. So I think you could just
The
put
topic.
uh,
Okay.
the topic. Please put the
Okay.
topic and pin it, please. So sorry we had to the live cut off abruptly, but thank you for joining us back again. Thank you, Amani, and thank you, Eunice. Okay, so I think I was asking you
Yes,
at what point should a parent seek help when you notice that your child is exhibiting behavioral strange behavioral patterns. I
yes.
think that was where we
So I
stopped.
said when your discipline strategies are not working any longer as a parent, you know there's nothing wrong in seeking professional help. That's why we have trained psychotherapists help you to help you through situations like this. When your child's behavior begins to interfere with their school life, like for example today you from school you heard from school today that your child broke somebody's hand. Tomorrow your child stole this. Next tomorrow, it gets to the point whereby your child is
When the child becomes like a problem child, in
honestly. So
quotes.
when you keep getting different issues from school, even complaints, different complaints, you know that you need to. This has to be shared. You understand? When your child's behavior even prevent them from having friends, when their friends, their peer groups are even scared to even associate with them, or maybe when they make their friends with someone today and then tomorrow they tell you I'm no longer friends with this person, and it's consistent. It becomes consistent. You know something is wrong. I need to share this. You need to take action as a parent. When your child starts exhibiting some behaviors that are developmentally not appropriate, like for example, your child start touching themselves in their private part. Let me use situations like that. You can't overlook that as a child, as a parent. You can't say, "Oh, don't touch." You can correct. Don't. It's not good for you to touch your private. But then it's consistent. You know something is happening. It could be a sign that that child has been exposed. So
Mm-hmm.
when that child starts exhibiting behaviors that are not developmentally appropriate, then you know you need to take action as a parent. Even and also I would say when a child starts exhibiting criminal behaviors like they setting things on fire, destroying at any you even correct your child, the next thing your child starts destroying things in the house. You know
Hmm.
that you need to take serious action as a parent.
But Eunice, what if the child is a special child? You know, you have
Exactly.
issues
Yeah.
like that. What if the child is a special child? So how do you handle or
Yeah.
navigate that
So
as a parent?
I've actually in the course of me practicing as a counseling psychologist, I've actually met with a child on the spectrum, autism spectrum disorder, and when by the time one thing I loved one of the feedbacks I got from the parent from the mom that I really loved was even issues that were not even the present issues that brought this child to therapy. When the child was done with about 10 sessions or 10 sessions of therapy, you see that the mom said even all the frequent tantrums and different other issues that the way the child maybe destroy things in the house, the child trying to take or sharp objects to harm themselves, all those behavior, even the younger sister was crying out like, "Thank you, Dr. Lola, thank you, thank you, thank you." So we have situations like even if your child has some developmental issues, that doesn't excuse you bring it. Even feel a professional is even the right thing you need to do because
Okay, because it could also be, sorry, Eunice. It could also be that when you eventually take the child for therapy, you now discover that, oh, this child actually has some
yes,
needs.
yes,
It's also possible.
yes, yes,
It's possible.
you're actually very very correct. You are very correct about that. So having trying to manage a situation that is beyond your reach is not the right thing to do as a parent. So I think
Okay.
it's totally
I think the two major challenges we have is the cultural, religious, and even personal challenge. By cultural, when we talk about therapy, mental wellness, culturally we frown at it. We are like, ah, God forbid, it's not my portion. Because when you talk about mental health, wellness, or mental well-being, the first thing people are thinking about is, are you trying to say that,
Exactly.
you know,
And correct.
that's what people are thinking. Exactly. Then secondly, people are saying, ah, no. A lot of parents will be like, no, this child needs deliverance. I would rather have my child go to a pastor or do maybe 30 days dry fasting,
And
you know, than my child to go and do therapy. And then you also have the personal challenge where parents already feel like they're a failure. They also feel maybe I've not been parenting well. That's a huge problem for a lot of parents. I'm speaking for myself, because most times when your child displays certain behaviors that you ordinarily, sometimes you're like, where did this child pick this thing up? And for a behavior, an abnormal behavior that becomes a pattern, the next thing is you're thinking, maybe I have failed as a parent. So really, let me put it to you this way. When a child displays an unusual behavioral pattern, does this really mean that the parent has failed? Is it the parent's fault?
I would not say,
Does parenting play a role, or is just
okay.
nature?
One thing I would say is this, like you said it's very easy for parents to actually blame themselves especially when everyone sees your child as problematic, even when you yourself begin to see your child as a problematic child. You understand? But one thing first that I would like us to know is your child, you are not the only one training your child. I'm
That's
telling
deep.
you the truth. You are not the only one training your child. The
You're not the only one training your child,
when
though.
your child goes to school, even let's say your child is even up to a year, putting your child in a crèche, there are behaviors the child is going to pick up in that crèche. So social media, talking about children that are a bit exposed to social media is training your child too. So they are learning from different you're not the only one trying to you're not the only one trying to copy that
Mold
behavior.
that
Yes.
child.
So there are different situations, the environment itself is patterning their behavior. And yes, so could you say it's easy for like for example, your child going to school, your child spend most of their time in school. The time they spend in school, you can't compare the time they spend in school, the average time they spend in school to the average time they spend with you at home. And would you say, because I want my
Yeah.
child to behave in a certain way, let me love the child there are some things that the child isn't showing to herself, some things that comes with instinct, behavior that comes with instinct that the child even develop without even learning from the third party. Or do you understand what I'm trying to say? So the only thing I would just say in regards to this, instead of you trying to blame yourself as the parent, because of you trying to blame yourself as the parent, it's easy for you to fall into a trap of trying to fix it for the child. For example,
I
your
agree.
child is, you are getting a report from school that your child is behaving in a certain way. In order for you, because when there is a negative behavior, you should definitely, even whether it's positive or negative behavior, any form of behavior, there's definitely a consequence for any form of behavior. So when you, like for example, your child is behaving in a certain way, maybe in school, in the community, your child did something that was wrong, and because you don't want it to escalate, you decide to pay people to cover such a thing up. You understand? You help them, or your child is not doing well academically, you decide to pay someone to write exam for them, or someone to pass them, pay the teacher to give your child good mark and all that thing. You understand? At the end of the day, this issue you are trying to manage, instead of you allowing the child to actually face the natural or logical consequence, at the end of the day, this is going to escalate, and you will be the one at the parent will be the one to suffer at the end of it. It will not be let me give you a very good example of growing up. There was this boy that was sitting with us, and the yeah, let me just use the word. The boy was there. The boy exhibits a lot of problematic behavior that was that was one of the major reasons why he was brought to live with us. kept going on, and instead of the mom maybe making research to trace the consequence, the issue was being managed and managed and managed and managed. As that when I finished secondary school, I remember then, years back then, that this boy would call the mom and threaten the mom is now an issue of let's negotiate. Oh, if you don't send 100,000 naira to me, I'm going to tell daddy you are doing this. So even now thinking about it, 100,000 naira then was a big money. But because the people, no,
That's a lot of money.
because the parents can afford it, the mom was okay. The mom sent the money, and I honestly I don't know where the boy is now, how he's doing now, but
I think for me, sorry Eunice, I think for me the most profound thing you said is the fact that you're not parenting your child alone. And I think this is a reality we parents have to take into cognizance. You're not parenting your child alone. So the best thing we can do for ourselves as parents is to be intentional. Because the truth is, just like you said, how many hours do you really spend with your child weekdays? Especially these days that children will do, after school will close, they will do lesson. After lesson, they will do maybe after school, whatever, do maybe one music class or one piano class. And the kids are coming back at 5 or 6. The mommy and daddy is also very busy. So you find out that half of the time, your child spends more time with peers. So if you don't even train your child, even people who train their kids, who are intentional, their kids go out and mix with kids from other homes, those that they've trained though, and those that they've not trained, those that even have behavioral issues. So your child mixes up with those kids, and some of this, they pick certain traits, because sometimes you're like, where did these traits come from? So some of these traits can be as a result of an external factor and not necessarily because you have failed as a parent. Then number 2, I think we should also talk about the fact that most times for you to even parent well, you also have to heal from your past trauma. Because a lot of parents are also battling with traumas themselves. I mean, if you're battling your own trauma, your own demons, how do you want to even parent well? So it's also important for us, for we parents, to also do some introspection, and like think deeply. Sometimes we are unable to parent right because we are scarred, and scars don't heal like that. Sometimes you need to speak out and seek help. So if a parent, a mother, a father is carrying over scars from the past, it's impossible for you to parent. And you will even be so hot that you won't even discover or realize that your child is exhibiting certain patterns. And I also love the fact that you talked about the fact that it's very important that parents are very hands-on, because some of these behavioral patterns, they would seem like it's normal. Maybe you just noticed it today. Maybe the child actually does it, exhibits it every day. But because you are absent, you may be present but absent. You may not, maybe you just noticed it once, because maybe that was the time you are less busy. So it's very important for parents, to heal from their past trauma, also seek help, seek therapy, and be open to, your child seeking professional help. That's why I'm so excited about what you guys are doing at Amani Health. I mean, before now, children's mental health, waiting concern us. Maybe it's a child, it's adults that have mental health issues. Because I mean, when we talk about mental health, what people are thinking is maybe you don't decrease, So now we know that depression is real. Kids also come down with depression, and depression, a child does not just wake up today and become depressed. Depression is a process, and it's very slow. It just creeps in on you, even as an adult. Imagine an adult, then how much more a child that does not even know, his or her left from the right. So it's very important that parents pay very close attention to their child's behavior. There are some cues, just like you said, some consistent patterns. And really, what is normal behavior? Normal behavior does not really have, like you said, does not have a universal definition, but we just know what is normal and we know what's abnormal. Thank you so much for that, Eunice. So my next question, what do you really think is the cause of this behavioral pattern, the behavioral issues? I was telling somebody the other day that our kids are exposed to so much on television. Some of these cartoons are not innocent cartoons. Sometimes we are watching adult content. I don't mean pornography. We are watching some content that kids, violent movies, and your kids are watching it. I feel kids take cues from that. You'll be amazed that a child as young as 4 3 years can pick up some cues and begin to exhibit. So am I right if I say that exposure to some content on television, even social media, or even toxic environments, can some of those things, a woman in an abusive marriage, an abusive relationship, you know, or a woman who also has her own issues, can some of those things also affect a child's behavior? What do you think are the causes of some
In
of these
fact,
things?
all these things, some of these things you mentioned, they are actually big causes of behavioral challenges. Let me talk about stress and emotional trauma. You just cited an example of maybe a woman going through domestic violence situation. You understand?
Yes.
Because, there's something called secondary trauma. You understand? The child in that
Yeah.
environment could traumatize that child. Being a child in that kind of system could traumatize that child, and you as a parent, if you don't know that this child is traumatized, what's trauma? Trauma is emotional pain. So if you don't know this child is going through this, the way the child develops a kind of defense mechanism, and most of these defense mechanisms are actually in a negative way. They start acting out. They start acting in a certain way. You understand? So stress. A child when a child is going through undue stress, or for example, don't even link it to this issue of cartoons that you mentioned. My younger sister has a younger child. When before she downloads a cartoon or allows the baby to watch the cartoon, she makes sure she watches it. So first that cartoon herself to be sure that, oh, this cartoon, yes, I feel my child can,
Yeah.
because some of these things can actually lead to undue stress in children. Some of the things are, yes.
That's
So
true.
stress and emotional trauma, they are also causing, they are one cause factor for behavioral challenges. And you as a parent, you might not be able to know some of these things if you don't. It is when you get to so you see a professional, that is when, oh, that professional help you identify what the cause factor of this behavior, because there can't be a behavior without an antecedent. That's true. So depression is
Yeah.
also a cause factor of behavioral challenges. Learning difficulties. Imagine the child, even if nobody is calling that child a dumb child, the child is already feeling like, I'm not performing the way other people are performing. I'm not performing.
That's
So
true.
that could lead to uh, undue stress. You understand? That could make the child start behaving in certain way. Oh, since I'm not doing so well at school, I don't see a need to go to school. In very moment, there are situations whereby you think your child is at the bus stop and the child is going to enter the school bus, and then the child gets the school bus pass and go somewhere else. It happens. So,
Yeah. Or even gets to school and stays
exactly.
outside. When school closes, the child comes back
So,
home.
so learning difficulties could be a factor of behavioral challenges. We have temperament, a child's temperament, and temperament can also be linked to genetics. You understand? We have some children that, yes,
Oh,
that
okay, really?
it,
Temperament is
it's
genetic.
genetic most times. Yeah,
Wow.
so we have, for example, a child that is hot tempered, and it's something that is genetic. So if you don't help manage such a behavior, the child is going to become problematic as a parent. So, so another thing is
Okay.
the,
Thank you.
the
Okay.
other time you mentioned people, there are some developmental challenges like autism, you understand, bipolar disorder, and if your child is
Can children come down with
yes,
bipolar disorder? Is it possible?
Mm.
yeah, yes.
Really?
So we have some, so even speech disorder could, a child having difficulty in communication could lead to behavioral challenges. So some of these things, even there are some children that are autistic, because it might not be on the extreme level and you might not know as a parent. It is when you say,
That's true. I hear there are some strains that are not
yes,
as
we have
pronounced
people that they
as
get
we
to
think.
discover that they are on the spectrum when they are adults already. So imagine how difficult it was trying to manage some behavioral problems that comes with how the disorder, the autism spectrum disorder. So anxiety disorder and even emotional behavioral disorder. So some of these disorders could also be a cause. And you as a parent, because you're not a professional, there's no way you know that your child is facing this kind of challenge, this kind of disorder without being a professional. So these are major causes of behavioral challenges.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I love the fact that you mentioned something very profound, which is the fact that your child's temperament can actually be
Yes.
hereditary. So if you as a mom, you as a father, you are very haughty, you are very hot-tempered, chances that your child might be hot-tempered. And the funny thing is that these kids watch so many things we do. They watch how you speak to people, especially the younger ones. They watch how you speak to people on the phone, how you speak to your peers, how you speak to your friends. And they know how aggressive you are. And sometimes they can pick this up because they just feel that mommy or daddy is an adult and they are perfect. So anything mommy and daddy does is the right thing. So some of these cues, they just pick them up. So I think it's very important that we also watch how we act in front of our kids. Okay, as we finally wind down. So when I'm thinking therapy as a parent, maybe I've discovered that my child is displaying some of these abnormal behavioral, displaying these things. And I speak to someone and they said, no, your child needs to see a therapy. At the top of my head, the first thing that will come to me as a parent is, will my child ever be able to be normal again? Does it mean that my child would be housed somewhere? That's what people are thinking. Some parents will also think, is it going to be a lifetime of therapy? Is it reversible? I know that my question is three-pronged, but as an expert yourself, when you say your child needs to see a therapist, what do you mean?
Well, when we try to see therapy as a big deal, it's a big deal, but when we try to see it as as going to see a therapist because you have a challenge, that is when you start having different kinds of logical thoughts about what therapy is. In the course of working with children, I will tell you that there are some certain things that children will tell you, please promise me you will not tell my mom, promise me you will not tell my dad. Just, and there are basic situations like oh, my classmate, maybe a friend they trust, somebody stabbed me at the back of my class, and that has been a very more serious issue that is putting this child in serious stress and making the child to hurt out, maybe making the child to be aggressive and all that. And you as a parent, you will not even know that the reason why this child has been acting like this is because the best friend betrayed him or her in the school. So, for you, and if you as a parent get to hear things like this, you might just think that you are not serious. You better go and look for something good to do in your life. But this is a challenge for the child. It might not be a challenge for you.
Yeah, I think we make that mistake a lot as parents. We belittle so many things, and there's this thing that they say, if you don't listen to some of the little things that your kids tell you, they won't even tell you the big things, because all the while that little thing, that thing you thought was little, is actually big to them. You know how your child will come to you, maybe you're engrossed in your phone. I'm sorry I had to cut you in there. You're engrossed in your phone and your child is trying to say, mommy, this thing happened today. And like, maybe the child starts saying, my friend, maybe my best friend did not talk to me today. I was even talking to her and she didn't answer me. To you, it's like, that's puppy talk. I beg. Later. Don't worry, she will talk to you. Already to that child, that's a big deal. And it's so funny how some of the things we overlook as parents, because we just feel, is it not children's friendship? To that child is a big deal. I'm sure that's why the child came to meet you as a parent. So I just feel that sometimes we should just, maybe for a minute or two, just pause, listen, even if you don't have an answer immediately. Maybe come back to that child and sort of help that child navigate that emotional wahala at that point.
Yes, a simple conversation can actually help prevent bigger issues. Let me give you an example of one of the clients I know. because of my practice. This child she was sexually abused by a cousin. So when we started, she was very little, and the mom always tried to make her go to the cousin's house, and she cried, "I don't want to go there." She keeps crying, but the mom keeps ignoring her. She's just throwing unnecessary tantrums, and that means the mom keeps putting her in a situation whereby she was. So this girl continues to experience this abuse till she was 15 years. That it wasn't just the cousin that was now abusing her sexually. Different people were not, because our self-esteem is when a child is sexually abused, the self-esteem is affected. So a lot of people got to abuse. So when I was even meeting this child, the mom was not neither the mom or the dad was even aware that this child has ever gone through sexual abuse. And this child was now going out now as different she was having a lot of issues like she self-harms herself, she has anxiety disorder, different kind of issues. But all this was the root of all this was the abuse at an early age that was not being managed, that now led to serious post-traumatic stress disorder and couple other issues.
Wow.
So a bit of just because when they try trying to have a conversation with you, like you said, even if you don't have a definite answer at that moment, talking alone, even
just talking or listening
to that child.
We are all guilty as parents, honestly. We are, because even sitting here, I'm thinking of some of those times my daughter will show me one thing 100 times, and I'm like, hey, Jesus. But I think we should also always make time for them. So how can we as parents help, and how is Amani Health bridging that gap? How can we help, our kids maintain that mental wellness, and how is Amani bridging that gap?
Say this first as a parent. You as a parent, do what you feel is right for your child, not what you feel is right for you. Because most times parents try to do parenting, the parents in the way that they feel this is what I feel is best for the child. What you feel is best for your child sometimes might not be what is best for them. Like I gave an example of a child who the mom decided to end a therapy session because the mom thinks she needs deliverance. And this child is trying to write quiet and she's dealing with PTSD. The child knows this is what I need right now is to see a therapist, a professional. But you as the mom, you don't know what you're saying. You need to see a pastor, not a therapist. So most times,
you can still see the therapist and then back it up with the prayers, Nobody's discountenancing the power of prayers or religion. Let the child see an expert and then you back it up with prayers.
Yeah,
they work hand in hand.
So you as a parent, do what you feel is right for your child. You understand? Another thing is you also need to be consistent in the way you react to child behavior. Because children knows when you are serious with something and when you are not serious. You are trying to correct your child and you correct your child like you don't mean it. Like whether you like you can have so you understand? The child is getting the inner message, not what you are saying. The child knows, mommy doesn't really matter to me, so I can still do this again. It doesn't really matter to daddy, so I can still do this again. So you need to be consistent in the way you react to your child does something that is wrong today, maybe because a visitor is there, you try to scream on the child, you try to correct them and then the next day the child is doing the same thing and then nobody is there. And you just tell the child, now you sabi.
Yeah, I service parenting.
So another thing that would also help you as a parent is communication. We already talked about this. It's very important to communicate with your child. And communication is not a one way. Communication, for example, you're telling your child, I need you to do this. Like for example, okay, I don't know, we have situations whereby some parents let their child go out to buy things. You understand? And you should work in this particular direction of the way. But you are not telling the child the reason why the child has to work at that particular. The child might decide to take the next direction because children are not robots. So you don't, they are not computer that you garbage in and garbage out. You understand? They have their own sense of people. So you need to explain when you are giving them instruction. You need to explain to them why you need them to.
And when you are disciplining the child, you also have to explain. Because there's a difference between discipline and punishment. What a lot of us do is punishment. And punishment just toughens the child and makes the child recalcitrant. But when you discipline, the whole carrot and stick, as you are disciplining, you are explaining, rather than inflicting body harm or just being very harsh. So I think it's very important that parents communicate. So how can Amani help in this regard? So what does Amani do?
So
how can Amani help?
Amani, we've already introduced it. Amani is an online therapy platform, and we have trained professionals. Like me speaking with you, I'm also one of the trained psychotherapists that work with Amani Health. So we have a lot of us like that are there to actually give you the extra help you need as a parent. All you need to do is just go to your browser, type amanihealth.app. Simple, and you'll be able to.
Or just follow. They should just follow you on Instagram.
Amani Health Incorporated. Yes, and then you can see the link, because we have a link whereby a platform. We have an online platform whereby you can actually schedule an appointment with therapist. You can see the. But I want to also parents. You see, parents have statistics they are scheduled. I've met a lot of parents that really want their child to be in therapy, or the child schedule, their schedule is always a problem. That's where Amani comes in, because you don't have to think about how you need to separate a whole day to go to a therapist's office. Just at the comfort of your home, if you are free at 7 and you're not.
So they said, Eunice, they said your network is breaking. Somebody said your network is breaking and she can hardly hear you.
Let me come again. So Amani Health is like your online solution platform. Let me put it that way. Because I know I've met with parents that really want their children to be in therapy, but because of their schedule, they have a tight schedule. They have their children also, because children have to go to school, and also Amani Health, all you have to do is go to your browser, type Amani Health app. You can see the time where therapists can be available. They are very.
So you can book a session, at a time that is most convenient for you. So nothing like, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time. No more excuses. And there are so many experts to choose from.
That help you, that will help you to do that. You won't have to carry all these. You see, being a parent is a full-time job, and that's why no parent should blame themselves if a child is acting. That is why you have this personalized. When they are not taking action, that is when you take the blame at it.
Yeah, okay. So I really love the fact that it's very flexible. I mean, with Amani, when you sign on to the platform, you can choose a time that is convenient for you, choose a day that is convenient for you, and just from your phone, you can get to speak with an expert therapist for your child. And I think we need to clarify that the therapy is for the kids and not for the parents, right? So the therapy, Amani is centered on children, but of course, parents are the ones that will make the step.
Let me put it this way: whenever you're providing help for your child, there are certain situations whereby you as the parent also you need to also you might need to be involved in that therapy.
Of course.
So I believe you can also schedule. So instead of you scheduling just one hour of psychotherapy, why not just do more than one session? Because if your child is sick, your child's mental health is as important as their physical health. If your child is sick, you don't mind spending a lot of money in the hospital. But this is You things for therapy, you understand, it's not about I would say it's about you preventing a much bigger problem in the future. So and and
Yes.
and it's very
Yes.
cost effective. So I would just advise you as a parent, if you
Yeah.
yourself you just book sessions on the platform for both you and your child. Yes.
Yeah. It's very, very easy. It's very, very straightforward. So people are just joining us. Well, you have missed so much, but I think my guests will be so kind enough to do a bit of a recap for them. We've been talking about how to identify behavioral challenges in children. We talked about some of the signs to look out for in your kids, because behavioral issues, challenges, they don't just happen. There are different signs, different cues, that your child exhibits that lets you know that something is wrong. For instance, there's a pattern, abnormal behavioral patterns. When you see your child just telling lies for no reason. I know once in a while, lies, we all tell lies once in a while, but sometimes when your child just by default just tells a lie, even when there's no need to tell a lie, that's a red flag. When you notice that your child becomes excessively aggressive, very, very aggressive, very, very destructive. Today they are telling you your child broke somebody's head at school. Tomorrow you go to school the next day to go and settle it. 2 days time they are telling you your child has broken somebody's hand, or got into a fight, or is bullying. You see, those are patterns, those are cues to let you know that something is wrong. So as parents, we need to pay more attention to our kids. So when you notice some of those things, you need to nip it in the bud. Don't wait till it becomes a full-blown problem.
Yes, sis.
A teletherapy platform for kids. So children that have behavioral challenges, children that have issues with their education, their academics. Is your child a special child? Are you just bothered about your child's general mental well-being? Do you want your child to, have a healthy self issues? Is when a child has a low self-esteem. You've done everything, your child just has a very low self-esteem. Sometimes you need to speak to a therapist because there may be a root cause. So this is where Amani Health comes in. You can see their handle. If you even go just further up on our live, you can see them, the Amani Health Incorporated. Please follow them. If you're an avid follower of my page, you will notice that I talk about Amani all the time. Please follow them, send them a DM if you have more questions. Log on to their websites, visit their app. It's very, very easy to use. And even on your phone, you can access it. Pick a date, schedule a good time for you. I know that we parents are so busy, but we can't be too busy for the things that matter the most, which is our children. Our children are alive. So it's very important that we also pay more attention to them. Do we have any questions? I know some people are just joining us. Sadly, we are rounding up in a bit. Do you have any questions around behavioral challenges for your children? Is it milestone issues? If you have any question, please use the question mark box there so that my guests can answer. Or if you would rather send Amani Health a question in their DM, feel free. Please follow them. As I said, please follow them. Let's encourage them. Mental health issue for the longest time, mental health issue as it concerns their kids is not something we really have paid attention to. But I think times have changed. Now we know that a lot of adults that are misbehaving is because they had carryover mental issues as kids. And we want our children to grow up to be healthy in all ramifications, not just look chubby, but healthy in the real sense of healthy, even mental health wise. So I don't think we have any questions. Amani Health,
Thank
thank you
you
for
so
doing
much.
this. Eunice, thank you for joining my live today. Thank you so much. Do you have any final
Well,
words?
I would say our children are our future, and what don't look at money. Don't, because sometimes money might not be the issue. I don't want us to downplay the importance of actually paying attention to our children's mental health. So if there is parents as the little one has 10,000 naira, talk to a therapist.
Yeah. Is that affordable? 10,000 naira. I mean, we can sit down and eat shawarma and Hollandia juice. I mean, what's that compared to your child's
So
future?
go to amanihealth.app and schedule a session with the therapist today. Even if it might just be, and the very moment you notice that there are patterns of behavior in your child, it might even just be because your child might not be talking to you. It could be a problem. Just because your child just ignore you want to have a conversation, your child doesn't want to have a conversation. You can try to convince that child, you understand, and just come and see a therapist with that child. You don't need to go in the bank. You don't need to clear your schedule. All you just need is just 1 hour.
And the funny thing is that when we keep using money as an excuse, when the big thing eventually happens, that money that we are trying to keep, we will spend it. You know, so I mean, how much is it? It's not even beyond the money. You think about the impacts, especially on your child's mental health and future. A lot of us parents, we are battling with challenges when it comes to our kids. You don't just understand, you know, that some parents are like, my child just loves to lie. Even when I have pleaded, I have spoken that I will not beat you, but my child just tells lies by default. That's a cue to tell you that there's something wrong. Or your child is just so aggressive, always, you know, being so aggressive. Those are symptoms that we shouldn't look away as parents. Thank you so much, Amani. Thank you so much for all you do. Well done. Well done, Eunice. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. The replay will be up on Amani Health's page, so be sure to please follow them after this live. If you have any questions, like I said, around mental health issues, even you as a parent, whatever it is, are you battling depression? Do you need to speak with anyone? Please speak with Amani Health. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on our next live next month.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Eunice, for joining the live session. Thank you, everyone, for joining the live session. The replay would be available on Amani Health page. Don't forget to follow us on Amani Health Inc. and don't forget to visit our website. Our website is on the link in our bio and it's also www.amanihealth.app.